Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I go by Hiram or Bogwa. Hey guys, welcome back. Now the list collection is an interface that Java provides us, and it has several implementations into it. So with that, I'll go ahead and create a package. That way we can look at the class. And then I'll create the class. Call it list service. So in here, I'll define a list of strings. And then I'll go ahead and import the list. And as you can see, the list comes from the java.util. And there it is. So now let's control click into that list and see what it is. As you can see, it's defined as an interface. So it's a public interface. And if you remember correctly, interfaces do not have any implementation. They require classes that implement the interface to implement the actual methods. Interfaces just define the methods that need to be defined. So as you can see here, we have the size is empty, contains, iterator, to array, add, remove, contains all. Now the list interface extends the collection interface. And collection interface also has its own methods. So one thing to note is that an interface can extend another interface. And all that means is it's going to require that interface too. So the list is part of the Java collections. And with list, there's different implementations of that list. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some. So here I'll create a method. Initialize list. So the first thing that I'm going to do is first initialize this list item. As you can see right now, it's not set to anything. So that means this is null. So I'll go ahead and define it. Now do new array list. As you can guess, the array list is an implementation of the list. And we can see that by clicking into it. As you can see, array list implements list as well as other interfaces. Now remember, with interfaces, you can implement multiple lists, but as long as it implements the list interface with polymorphism, we can convert it to a list. So in this instance, what we're saying is we want the list type of the array list. So now with the list defined, we can add a few items in here. So list, now as you can see, it provides you with all these methods that you can call. So these were the methods that were defined in the list collection class. So here I can be list.add, add a string here, and I can add another one, .add, and I can add as many as I would like, but for now I'll just add those. So I'll create a method for testing the list. And now let's see what else we can do with the list. So here we can say if data items dot, we have the is empty. So we can remember there's the not operation, so we can do if it's not empty, because if it's empty, then that's gonna fail. So first of all, let's move this initialization to the top to make sure it's always set and it's never null. So now in here we can do things like contains, so you can run the dot contains to check if it contains that value. Something else that you can do, data items dot remove, and you can remove based on the index. Now remember, whenever we were covering Now remember, whenever we're covering arrays, we say that we start our count from 0 all the way to the total size -1. So this applies the same to list. Our first item will start from index 0. So as you can see here, we can remove using 0, and that's going to remove the first item from the list, right? Or we can data items remove. And as you can see here, there's like several methods. There's several types of remove. So there's the remove based on the index and remove based on the object. So based on the object here, I would pass that test1 or test2, and it's going to remove based on that. So it's going to run a comparison based on the same values, right? So let me print some statements out and then we can test this out. Can get the size by data items dot size. Then you can check the size after removing. So in this instance, the size should be 1 because we're removing the first index and then we're removing test1. So by the time this finishes executing, we're going to end up with the list of size 1. So I'll go ahead and call this. I'll first start by defining this class in the runner class. And let me clean this up. Then here, I'll start by printing out that data. So I'll start by calling this test list properties. So let's see, else. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll test the list properties. So at that point, it should print out that the list is empty because we have not added that item to the list. We have not initialized the list. And then next, I'll initialize the list and then I'll call the test list properties. And let's go ahead and execute it and see. And as you can see, list is currently empty. And then after that, Hiram existing list, true, and then size before removing, 3, and size after removing, 1. So the important thing to note with lists is they're similar to arrays, but they provide us with more capabilities than we get whenever we utilize arrays, in that we can call methods such as remove, add, check if the list is empty, compare with other items in the list, and several. And that's just to name a few. There's a lot more in here. Thank you for watching my tutorials. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't, and also check me out on Instagram at coderush.io.